Hey everybody, it's me, the Real Kid BC. Alright, so today we're actually going to be doing episode 4 of The King's Decree. Now, The King's Decree, for people who aren't familiar, is a series where I will talk about either characters or a show more specifically than I usually do. I usually talk about things more broadly, so this show gives me the opportunity to talk about things more specifically more often. Um, if you are interested in this series, I will be. I'm not. I will be doing a couple more videos with this series. I'm not necessarily going to be pumping them out every day necessarily, um, but this will be a series that I I will be putting more of my focus into. Not all my focus necessarily, but there's going to be a decent amount of focus in the King's Decree. Now, today I actually wanted to talk about Meg. Um, Yes, the same Meg from Family Guy, who is an eternal punching bag. Um, so yeah, and I wanted to talk about how at first the joke was pretty funny because, well, it wasn't necessarily just them just making fun of Meg just to do it, or necessarily something that they did because at that point it was basically an unwritten rule. Um, so at so because at this point it's an unwritten rule. When I first started doing it, it was really just it wasn't necessarily something that was set in stone. It was just something that happened. But as time went on, it pretty much just became a requirement. I feel, and it became an unwritten rule to just make fun of Meg and humiliate Meg in the worst possible ways. And as time went on, it just stopped being funny. It started being just more and more malicious and just unnecessarily cruel. Um, and it's to the point where they basically just started torturing Meg left and right, um, which I'm not really a fan of. To be fair, in general, I'm not really a fan of punching bag characters in general. I think punching bag characters are not really funny. Um, what a punching bag character is just there to basically be the butt of the joke or be humiliated 24/7. There are other characters that are very much like this, like Squidward from SpongeBob and so on. I've never really been the biggest fan of these characters because after a while, the whole joke of them being humiliated and them being made to look stupid, it just felt cruel. It wasn't funny anymore. It was just cruel. And that's what happens to Meg. She gets humiliated by literally everybody, especially her own family. Um, like literally nobody likes Meg, and it's just not funny anymore. It's again, it's just straight up cruel, and it's basically just torture. If I'm okay, um, there was an episode where Meg actually um, faked her own death because apparently people thought she died. Um, and then she moved out of Quahog and moved to a place where nobody knew her. A place where she couldn't be humiliated and tortured day after day. And for a while, people thought that she died. And I thought that was a rather interesting episode. I didn't actually watch it. I actually learned about it from someone else because I stopped watching Family Guy by that point because it stopped being funny. And okay, I know the whole thing with Family Guy is that they usually reuse jokes, and because they reuse jokes so many times, they stop being funny. And that in itself is an issue that I have with Family Guy, sure, but the fact that time after time they were just again humiliating Meg in the worst ways possible, especially the way her family do it. Like her family, they absolutely destroy her for no reason half the time. By the way, um, it just seems random. Um, so yeah, in my opinion, it's just not funny. It's unnecessarily cruel, and from what I know, if they actually have stopped with the constant Meg torture. Sure, they still make fun of Meg every now and then, but it doesn't happen as much from what I know of. Again, like I said, I stopped watching Family Guy a while ago, and I'm not going back to watching it. At least not right now. Maybe I will in the future. Um, but it is nice to know that they're no longer doing the whole Meg is just this eternal punching bag that will just always be humiliated and will never get her comeuppance. At least not permanently. There were a couple episodes where she did, but it didn't happen permanently. And yeah, kind of weird that this happened. Like I believe twice now at this point. Maybe it's a third time. Hmm. The first time was when she went to prison. That was an interesting episode. And the second time was when there was a hurricane and Abed was stuck inside the house and Meg lashed out at everybody. Rightfully so, of course. That was a bad episode, but that part was, I want to say, it was cathartic, especially for Meg, who had just been, again, like I said, absolutely bullied by her family for the longest time. Of course, like I just said, that episode is pretty bad. One of the worst Family Guy episodes, in my opinion. Um, but yeah, again, like I said, maybe there is a third time where Meg got her comeuppance, but I can't remember. Um, but yeah, I'm just glad that they're not doing the Meg torture anymore. That got um, pretty old by the time that I had stopped watching Family Guy. But yeah, I really do feel bad for Meg. She's one of those characters that doesn't deserve to be humiliated or to be an eternal punching bag. Um, I feel like her character could be so much more, but they end up dropping the ball with it in favor of funny gags that can be told in every episode. But the problem is that they get old really quickly. So yeah, tis the nature of shows like Family Guy, I guess. But whatever. I just hope they do more with Meg in the future because, well, she's not a great character. She's definitely a character that actually could be written better and should be written better, in my opinion. But yeah, that's all I got. Um, yeah, if you agree with me or if you disagree with me, um, please say so in the comments. Um, as per usual, all of my important stuff is in the description. Please don't forget to check it. And if you want more of me, then you know exactly what to do. I won't hold your hand through the process. Um, yeah, this has been the Real King of BC. Have a nice day, people.